So welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video, and today I wanted to talk about two affordable CGC 9.8 comic books that I think could become good investments over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years. And these books normally for investing in CGC 9.8s, I think the sort of price cutoff for investment grade books is like $280, $290 US dollars. And some of the issues in that price range, like Amazing Spider-Man 298 9.8, Amazing Spider-Man 316, the Venom cover 9.8, you can usually pick those up for like $280, $290 US dollars. So these books are less priced than that, but I think over the next 3 to 5 years they have a chance to kind of get into that $250 to $300 price range. So yeah, we'll get into the books here. So the first book, cheap CGC 9.8 comic book for investment that I'm buying right now is Wolverine number 8. So with Wolverine number 8, obviously you're sort of riding the coattails of the Hulk Wolverine hype or a trend. And I'm not really sure if it's a trend. It's just Hulk and Wolverine, they seem to basically be like the core of a comic book collection, especially if you're like a Copper Age or a Modern Age collector. Yeah, Hulk and Wolverine, obviously it goes back to Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine where he fought Hulk. I think Hulk 340, for some of the same reasons, is sort of riding the coattails of Hulk 181 as a more affordable option. And Hulk 340 9.8 white pages, you're looking at least $3.99, maybe if you find like the best deal it's $3.50. But those are generally going for over $400 now US. So I think the next issue that could kind of be in line as kind of the go-to Wolverine and Hulk for someone who's on a budget could be Wolverine number 8. And yeah, so this copy I just picked up a week ago. This is my first copy of first 9.8 anyway. I have a rough copy. I had a rough copy of Wolverine 8 since I was like 6 years old. So I do have some nostalgic purposes for purchasing this book. But I was able to pick up one about a week ago. I want to buy another one or two as well in the 9.8 for a lot of the reasons we're talking about. I do think it's a good investment. So looking at the CGC census, there 42% of Wolverine number 8s are CGC 9.8s. So definitely not a rare book in the 9.8. This isn't one that you're buying because it's rare in the 9.8. And generally, books for like in the 90s, you're not really buying them because they're rare in the 9.8. There's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, you're just kind of buying them because they're cool, or in this case, it's a Wolverine and Hulk, and like I said, how iconic the two have become. So yeah, this copy. Another reason why this book, I think, especially in the CGC 9.8, will become a good investment over time, is the really cool back cover. And yeah, obviously with CGCs you get the clear case, so the back cover sort of becomes a little bit more important when you're maybe showing these off. But you get the Rob Liefeld back cover, awesome back cover too, with Wolverine in the middle. He's surrounded by a bunch of dudes with swords. And yeah, just the sort of perspective of the cover is really cool. Yeah, so the fact, obviously, if you got these rough comics in the bag and board, you can't really check it out. But I think as CGC comics become more and more common, some of these back covers will actually just add to the value of the book. So I think this will be an example of that. But mainly, you're buying Wolverine number 8 because it's a really cool cover, and it's because it's Wolverine and Hulk. And yeah, but before I purchased this, I was checking out some completed listings, and yeah, I noticed that there were 2 books that sold for over $300 Canadian. So that's, you know, getting a little over 200 bucks American. And I purchased this book for $169 on an auction American. So you know, $169 for this book, and it's a perfect example really too, as far as like the centering and how the book looks. It's like a really good 9.8. You know, pages super white and crisp. So a really good CGC 9.8 for this one. But yeah, I've seen these sell for over 200 already. So yeah, I just think for the reasons we talked about, a couple I've sold for over 200. I think this is a candidate to get into that 280, 290 range. You know, like I said, over the next 5 or 10 years. So Wolverine number 8, a good cheap option if you're investing. So second book here I got, and almost not even by accident actually, we're sticking with the same series. So we got another Wolverine comic, and it's Wolverine 155. So this issue a little bit cheaper, and yeah, you'll kind of notice, kind of sticking with the same theme here. Obviously, Incredible Hulk 340 has, you know, I would say it's definitely a key issue at this point, well sought after among collectors. Obviously, you have the Wolverine and Hulk connection. So this issue, I think, is gonna eventually become the coolest cover homage of Hulk 340. And yeah, I kind of like sort of where it stands right now, because it's a little bit sort of underfollowed and underappreciated. I actually personally, like, I knew they had a Spawn, you know, they did, I forget what issue it is, but Spawn did a cover homage of 340, which I didn't particularly like that much. I think it's like with the Violator clown, and I didn't really care for that one too much. But this one, I think, is sort of, as I said, underappreciated, less known, but like so cool. So cool. I think, you know, Rob Liefeld just kind of nailed it on the art on this one, even though it, you know, it is a pretty simple cover. A little bit simpler than 340, I would say, because you don't have the three blades to do the reflection in. But, you know, certainly equally as cool. And yeah, I think like with these two books right now, one thing that you could feel good about buying both of them, with obviously the Hulk Wolverine hype, there's no like movie coming out right now of Hulk or Wolverine. You know, there's, you know, in pop culture, there's not any hype train going on right now. So I think with both of these issues, you can be, you know, happy that you're not paying like inflated prices. Because if there's some pop culture event, that means, you know, there's probably newbies in the market paying up for the books. So in general, I think with these books, you kind of have that core fundamental comic book collectors that are mostly buying these. So I think, you know, this issue, it'll definitely hold its value, I think, over time. You know, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, you're not going to see this one get up to, you know, that 280, 290, almost 300 US price range. Because it was a little bit less expensive than Wolverine number 8. Obviously, this one was made in 2000, so a little bit newer of a book. 63% of these CGC graded Wolverines 155s are 9.8s. And yeah, I mean, as I said, in, you know, once you get into the 2000s and even, you know, the mid to late 90s, you're not really buying these books because they're rare in the 9.8. You know, you just want the 9.8 obviously because that's the grade that the collectors are gonna want, as I've said. You know, the two rules in comic book investing when you're investing in CGC comics of this era, for me, are buy what you love, number 1, and number 2, always buy the 9.8 white pages, basically. Because that's what the collectors are going to lust after, you know, whenever it is, 10 years, whatever it might be, when you want to end up selling. So yeah, we want to stick with the 9.8s. But yeah, Wolverine number 155, I think, is going to be the coolest Hulk 340 cover homage. A little bit underappreciated right now. So price for this, I paid $175 Canadian, which works out to about like 132 bucks US. So a little bit less for this than Wolverine number 8. So yeah, if you're on a budget, I think you could do far, far worse than Wolverine 155 or Wolverine number 8. You're sort of riding the coattails of Hulk and Wolverine, as I said. This one, you got a cool cover homage. Sort of wild card on the last issues, you got that back cover, which I think in CGC Comics will become more and more important over time because you can check out the back cover. But with 155, yeah, for 130 some odd dollars, and I bet you can find it cheaper, especially if you can find an auction for it. I purchased this as a buy it now in Canada, and it was 175 Canadian, but yeah, I would think on an auction you could get maybe even under $100 for 155, and I think that's looking like a good deal. And yeah, maybe this one won't get into that sort of 280 to 300 range anytime soon, but if you can grab it for 100, I mean, I could see this, especially if Hulk 340 takes off, you know, in the next 5-10 years, I could see this getting up and, you know, possibly doubling in value. If you paid 100 for it, I could see it being worth 200 pretty easy, you know, in the next 5 years, especially if Hulk 340 sort of continues on its trend. Alright, so yeah, Wolverine 155 and Wolverine number 8. Yeah, and like I said, there's no Hulk movie right now, you know, Hulk Wolverine movies, so I think for that reason you could feel comfortable that the prices aren't inflated at this point, and that's, I think, is one of the, you know, big things when you're comic book investing. And yeah, obviously with this you're riding that sort of Hulk Wolverine trend. And yeah, as I said, you know, with the modern age and the Copper Age collectors, Hulk Wolverine has pretty much become like a core of your comic book collection portfolio, I guess you could say. So, you know, I don't think you should fight that. It's almost like, you know, like Amazon stock or Apple stock. Those companies have become so huge. And, you know, if 5 or 10 years ago you thought, oh, like, I'm not, you know, I'm just not going to buy into the Amazon hype or anything, like, you missed out on huge returns, because yeah, now Jeff Bezos is like the richest guy in the world, and Amazon just kept going up and up and up. So I have a feeling Hulk Wolverine will sort of be like that for the comic book world. You know, could be wrong, but yeah, I think, you know, that pecking order, you got Hulk 181, Hulk 340, and, you know, what are the next issues going to be? I think Wolverine number 8, and to a lesser extent Wolverine 155, because it's so new. But both of these books, I think, can be in that pecking order for someone on a budget that wants to get into the Hulk Wolverine hype, I guess you could say. Okay, so that's going to be all for this video today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, if you like comic book investing, please subscribe to the channel if you can. I got my collection here. I'll be sharing with you even my new buys. Like, yeah, Wolverine number 8 I just bought about a week ago, so I'll be sharing with you my new buys, what I'm thinking about buying. I got a lot of other comics in my collection I haven't showed you guys, and I think, you know, a lot of them are still good buys, so I'll be going over those too in the next coming weeks. So yeah, if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, and thanks a lot for watching the video, guys. I'll see you on the next one.